Hello, this is Neil, the art instructor at masterpaintingnow.com. The link is in the description below the video. Go ahead and click on it if you want to watch more free tutorials. Hey, do me a favor, if you like my free tutorials, share them. Just simply click on the share button and share them with like Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Just share them with whoever you can. That way more people can learn from them. So this is about drawing figures or heads in 3/4 view and what exactly a 3/4 view is versus a non-3/4 view. A common mistake made with 3/4 view is what people might think is that when you're drawing a 3/4 view, they start off with their circle and everything. They let's say it's more extreme. They come down with their center line, knowing that everything is going to be in 3/4 view here. They know their jaw line is going to come here somewhere. They put their ear in here wherever it's going to go, and they go, okay, I know I got that's my eyebrow line. So come boom, eyebrow line. Get the edge of the head here versus the side plane. And what they do is when they're drawing their features, they draw them straight. Like this, where my eyes are going to go, that's where my nose is going to go, that's where my mouth is going to go. But whenever you have someone that's in a true 3/4 view, that's impossible. You can't, that's 1-point perspective. You can't have a face that's in true 3/4 view and have 1-point perspective features. So, you can't draw the eyes on this straight plane here. And I'm going to show you why that is in just a second. I'm going to prove it to you with evidence because we need to actually learn something. What's the point of just going, hey, this is the way it is, do it, and not show why? And we got to learn something, and I think that comes by proving things out by why things are the way they are, rather than just like assuming that the person's correct or whatever. I'm going to kind of make this face a little bit smaller, and therefore I'm going to bring the ear in a little bit further. I'm trying to determine how much of let's say the neck is like here, here, so that being the case, the head will be right around here. Right, so that's just, basic quick features. Okay, my pen stopped working, so I can use the mouse for a second. Maybe it's got some big old sideburns. Some great front flowing hair. Maybe a little bit back here even. We get the idea. So this is how people would often do this. They would draw it straight. And it doesn't look like totally wrong or bad or anything, but it's slightly incorrect. And sometimes the lines are, if you're really zoomed in with the camera, the perspective lines are so slightly moved back in space that you can actually get away with drawing it like this, and it looks just fine, and it looks even correct. But what I'm going to show you with the 3D program here, the difference between an actual 3-point perspective, or excuse me, an actual my brain. I'm recording this really late, early in the morning rather. I haven't been to sleep yet. Anyway, so the difference between an actual 3/4 view and what would be like a 1-point perspective, I don't know, slide of the camera view, they are definitely different. Right, so the difference then, and we'll demonstrate with both a 3D person and a box. So you have the box here. When you do a true 3/4 view, either the person is tilting their head, so you have the camera facing them, right now the camera's facing them, and they rotate their head, they tilt their head away from you. Now you have a 3/4 view. So notice you have the edge of the object here, and both lines are going back to perspective. These lines are not horizontal, and these lines are horizontal. Because the horizontal line or the horizon line is in the center of the object, these merge down somewhere in space to this horizon line, and these lines merge somewhere up toward that horizon line. And so if the nose is somewhere around here, the nose is kind of straight. That means if you were to draw a head in this perspective, you would have the eyes going up on a slight angle, the mouth going down on a slight angle, and the nose kind of coming straight across. If the object were above the horizon line, then all of it would be slanted down towards the horizon line, the nose, the eyes, and the mouth. And if it were below the horizon, it'd be the opposite. Everything would be slanted up toward. So if the eye is here, this is the grid line coming across for the eyes, you'd have a line coming down this way, right? So they're coming, kind of coming up like this, and then coming back down to go over there somewhere. up, this is the eyebrow line, up and then down, which means the ear is appear a little bit lower from this angle than it does from the front angle. Because from the front angle, when you rotate this box back to a front angle, you have that eyebrow line. That's where the ear starts, and it ends at the, it starts and ends. It starts the eyebrow and ends at the bottom of the nose. But when you turn this box into perspective, the eyes kind of go up, and then the eyebrow line kind of goes up and then goes down. The nose is kind of straight across. So the ear now appears to be a little bit lower than it was before. And this is especially true when you're more above the horizon line, which typically is true. Your head is typically above the horizon line. But when you take a picture like a portraiture, the horizon line is usually in the center somewhere of the frame that you're taking the picture in. And that's usually when you're drawing just like a face, right? The difference between that and a false 3/4 view, because it's not an actual 3/4 view, is when you take the rotate here. Now that it's not rotated, now instead the camera's facing straight, but the person's over here. This is 1-point perspective. These are all going back to 1 point. These lines are, the horizon lines are perfectly straight. They're not at any angle. They're not going back. They're parallel with the horizon line, so they never actually cross the horizon line. They're not. That is, they're not in perspective. They're not going, to some point on the horizon line. These lines are going to some point on the horizon line, and they're meeting up over there on a point. That would be drastically different. Now you draw the facial features very differently. You would draw the eyebrow line here, and then it comes down like this and back into space with that line there. And so the ears appear a little bit lower, but you're going to see a little bit of the side of the plane of the head. This means that you're going to see more, there's going to be more space on this side of the eye than there is on that side of the eye. That is because you're seeing more of the side of the head here. Let's go ahead and prove this to be true with an actual model. So let's go ahead and make that invisible. Back to Victoria. Make her visible. This is a DAZ Studio, by the way. It's free. This is 3.1. I think they're up to like 4 something now. So if we start straight, let's put her head like in a portraiture on the horizon line. I'll zoom way in here. Put her head on the horizon line. We'll put the nose on the horizon line. If we slide her head over here, you'll notice that we're in 1-point perspective, right? So we're not actually, she's not in a 3/4 view right now. And this might confuse some people. They might think, wait, she's in a 3/4 view because we can see some of the side plane of her head. No, she's not. Just like the box wasn't. Because all this is straight. The eyes are on a straight line, nose is on a straight line, mouth is on a straight line. This front plane is not going back into perspective. Therefore, you're still in 1-point perspective. All you have done, the camera's facing straight ahead, and you've slid her over to the, so in other words, you start out, your camera's facing the person. Either you take a bunch of steps to the right and keep your camera facing straight, not facing her at all, and she's still in the camera view, or have her step toward the edge of the camera view, but the camera's still facing straight ahead. That is, the camera's not facing her. The second you turn the camera to her at an angle, like this, now she's in 3-point perspective. Because now these lines are going into a perspective somewhere. They're meeting this horizon line. So this line is going back and slightly going down, eventually meeting up with this horizon line. The nose is going up a little bit, and the mouth is going up like that. So these are not straight. Let's go back to where we have a straight. Now, the difference between that and when we take her head and rotate it, not twisting. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. Let's just twist her whole damn body. It's easier. Now we twist her head, and now she's in 3/4 view. Because her nose is at the horizon line, the eyes are going to slightly go down. They're going to be on a slightly down angle. The mouth is going to be on a slightly up angle, and the nose is at a straight angle. The eyebrow line is here, and then it comes down like this, because this part is going down. That's why the ear appears a little bit lower than it would be if it was a straight front view. Hopefully that proves it. That should be evidence for you that the difference between 3/4 view and a 1-point perspective view when she's off the side. If she's above the horizon line, which is typically the case, then what you're going to see typically somewhere around the crotch area is on the horizon line. That's typically the case when you're taking photographs. Her eyes are going down somewhere, her nose is going down, and the mouth is going down. This is that side of the plane. This is the same as the box, right? The cube. Take that cube, make it visible again, take it, move it upwards, scale this whole thing down to more like the size of a head. So you can see these lines, I gotta turn it into perspective to rotate it, 3/4 view. These lines are all going down and meeting the horizon line somewhere way out there in space, and these lines are going down, meeting the horizon line somewhere way out in space. So the line of her face goes up and then down, goes up, then down, up and down. And that's typically how it's going to be on the face. That's in a picture somewhere. Right, we don't need that no more. I know that's like a lot of talking and like no drawing. And some people might not like that, but that's the same reason those same people don't read their art books. They glimpse through the art books, they might read a few words here and there, and they don't really learn much from the art book. To learn from the art book, any good art book's going to have a lot of instruction, which means you have to do a lot of reading. And any good instructional video is going to have a lot of talking, which is similar to a lot of pages of writing, because that's how you learn. Anyway, so this picture here, even though it has a smile, it's kind of hard to tell. The nose is on a straight line. The eyes aren't. If you look closely, see they're on a slight angle going down toward the perspective. The mouth is on a straight line. It's actually going up and so they're all meeting somewhere over in space. That's like a typical portraiture drawing. But if we were to take it and draw the head, because we're having the whole body, but I'm just going to draw the head for right now. And let's say it's the whole body, the crotch is at the horizon line. So the whole head is quite above the horizon line. When we do that, remember when we have a box like that, the lines are going down, the lines are going down in space, and therefore we see a little bit of the bottom of the box. And we're going to see a little bit of the bottom of the face, but usually you don't see much of the bottom of the face, to be honest, because you're not really looking too much up at them, but still there's going to be a slight angle to everything that goes down into space. Let's say we're not going to see that much of the head over there. Okay, so what's going to happen then is the eye line, which is normally, this is like normally the eyebrow line, but this is kind of coming, down, and this is kind of coming down like that. Same thing with the eyes. They're kind of fitting right in here at a slight angle. The nose is at a slight angle, and the mouth is at a slight angle. And it's all kind of going down because we're in perspective. So then when we come in here and we draw the character, I'm just going to do something basic here. And have the eyebrow. The nose is going to cross over, because we're in more of extreme 3/4 view, and cover part of the eye. Let's give a cuter nose than that. It's hard to draw this small sometimes. We can fix that line in a little bit. For right now, we'll just do it like that. Mainly, what we got to do here is okay, where's that center line at now? I kind of changed it. The center line is following the nose. I kind of made it more extreme 3/4 view. And so you have more of the chin on one side of the line than on the other, like that. And the neck, the same thing happens with the neck. Let's kind of erase some of this here. I'm going to use a smaller eraser since my drawing is so small, even smaller than that actually. There we go. We're slightly looking up at the character, so we're going to see a little bit of the bottom of the nose there. Do one eye length across still. Again, I'm not really, this is more of an advanced lesson. I'm not teaching so much how to draw a character in 3/4 view as I am showing the whys and what's correct and why it's correct in 3/4 view. And so it's an advanced lesson, and hopefully it'll bring you to that next level when you're thinking about it. And if you're still, a beginner and you haven't even taken any of the any face course, whether it be my course or someone else's course, it doesn't really matter, or read a book on it, whatever, however you learn it, you got to learn the information. I have an entire head course, 20 hours for $19, and then if you want to add on an extra, you know, 6 courses to that are on different subjects like the figure drawing and form, which is really important, then it's only $27 for an extra $7 or $8, I think it is. You're getting 6 more courses, a total of 60 hours. Anyway, I'm not saying you have to buy my course. I'm not trying to promote it or sell anything to you. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that you have to learn this information somewhere, be it from me or someone else. Doesn't really matter. The basics. Once you got the basics down, then you can come and move into like this kind of knowledge. This, and then you'll kind of get more benefit out of this knowledge. This knowledge will be like, oh, you'll be like later on, you'll be like, oh wow, what? Now I understand, like why my 3 point, why is it that way? And some people need to understand the why, and the why can help you tremendously sometimes. So, and let's go ahead and add some sort of hairline here. And I don't know what kind of hair we want to give her. Maybe not any hair at all. What if we want to give her like a hat or something? We're kind of, again, looking up a little bit, so we're seeing a little bit of the bottom of the hat. And I don't know what kind of hat we're going to give her. Maybe it's going to be like a big floppy hat. I still don't know what kind of hat I'm giving her. I'm just kind of running with it, I guess. That would be all of her hair right in there. This would be like the inside of the hat, so you can't really, it's a darker. And maybe it's kind of like this. It has like a rim. I know I'm making the rim quite huge, but I'm drawing small, so maybe let's give her like one of these cute little domes like that to the hat. And maybe she has longer hair and it's more poofy, so and there you have it. So that would be the proper way to draw in a 3-point perspective, or not, well, 2-point perspective when the character is above the horizon line. And you notice that the eyes are not, they're not on straight lines. Even though I'm drawing straight lines here, well, they weren't straight lines because I showed you the lines I drew, which were not straight lines. This drawing is so tiny, it's kind of hard to tell that they're not on straight lines, but they're not. We had them all kind of going down into perspective over this way at an angle. And then all these lines on this side of the head are going down in perspective over there, like that. So I hope this has helped some. I know I said it'd be a quick tutorial, and I think it kind of came out quick, but still came out to be 17 minutes, which is kind of a long tutorial in a way. So let's do a quick grid pattern. When you're drawing in 3/4 view, and the horizon line is the nose. This right here is the nose, and that line's straight. Then the eye line is going to be at a slight angle going downwards, and the lip line is going to be at a slight angle going upwards. And so then you'd have, actually eye lines are a little bit lower than that, but whatever. So when you draw the eyes, they're going to fit onto that line. They're not going to be drawn straight. And the nose, we're doing a less extreme 3/4 view here. And the mouth is then drawn on a slight angle downwards. Make it a younger person. All this kind of rounds out more. Not in everyone, but sometimes. All right, so that'd be like a general rule there. Whatever kind of hair you want to give her. More poofy hair on top here. Right, it doesn't have to be her, it can be a he too, but anyway, I can easily change the facial features to make that a female, no problem. When the character is, that's more like portraiture then, which is the same as this here. When the character was above the horizon line, we already went over that, all the lines of the face go down and the ears go down. When it's up, just think about it as a box, you know, like this. And that's all you have to do. If you think about that, then you have it down because you're kind of looking, you know, so when you draw the character that's below the horizon line, you're going to see a little bit of the top of their head. And so then you just kind of know that all these lines are going to be kind of, say that's the center line, they're going to kind of be going up in space a little bit. And then the side of the head's wrap around this way. And so you're going to be able to see a little bit of the top of the head. Let's say this is the edge of the head here. So you have her jawline over here, coming down, chin, coming up. And then kind of just fit it all into there. And so now when we draw the character, the eyes are fitting on those lines. The nose is fitting on that line. The mouth is also fitting on that line. Making those like bangs. But we're seeing kind of the top of the head here a bit. I have this hair coming over that ear. So we're seeing that this is like that top middle center cowlick. And so we're seeing a lot more of the side of the head over here than we are on the other side. Maybe your eyes are kind of looking up. Right, so there you have it. So that would be how the perspective goes, and that's how you're going to get things looking correct with your 3/4 turns of the head. Just keep in mind, a 3/4 view is when the head is turned, just like when you turn a box, so it becomes a 2-point perspective. If you just kind of pan your camera to the right and it's still looking straight and the character's off on the left somewhere, you're in single-point perspective, and that's when you keep the angle of the eyes the same, the nose the same, the mouth the same. They don't go back into perspective anywhere. Anyway, I hope this has helped. Came out to be a lot longer of a tutorial than I thought. I guess there's just a lot more, you know, if I were to convert this into like a little PDF booklet, there'd be a lot of writing because writing is what helps you understand. It's the knowledge you're getting, right? The little bit of drawings are helping you understand what's being said, and that's the purpose of an art book, and that's the purpose of an art lesson in video format or even in person, is that you're trying to give knowledge to someone, you're trying to explain something to someone. You can't just like go, here, I'm drawing an eyeball and this is how it is. You're not really going to learn anything from that. And unfortunately, what I've noticed is a lot of art tutorials are like that. They're not really tutorials. They're like, here's how to draw an eye. So I start here and then I come across like this and I like the way that looks. And then I kind of come like this. So my center line is something like this. And I kind of draw in this part of the eye now, like that, and then I draw the pupil, and I make sure the pupil's up toward the top. And I don't really know why I do that. I just do it because I like the way it looks. They're not explaining like the why of anything, and that's what's important is knowing the why. Why is it that way? How come, when you draw the eye like this, why is it that the pupil's up there? And I explain all that in my head course, by the way. Then I kind of draw this line here. And I kind of like that line. I like it when it extends out that way. and then I draw like sometimes a line there, and I have the eyebrows, and I kind of come up and I come over like this. I kind of like the way that looks, so that's how I draw the eyebrow. Or here's me drawing the eyebrow now. I'm drawing the eyebrow, and so next you want to just kind of add a little bit of shading up here like that, and makes it look good. So make sure you add that shading, and make sure that you have the shading over here, and you have all this shading over here. But make sure you leave kind of a highlight right here, because it's important that you do that. They're not explaining nothing. Why is it that this line is darker right here? Why is it there's a little bit of shading up here? And why is it that's shading here and there's not right here? And that all comes down to form, a lot of knowledge of form and the form of the eyes, because this is an eyelid and it has form to it, and it's not just flat. And so when the light's coming from the top right, it's hitting this part of the eyelid, but this part here starts rolling away. And the whole eye itself, from the top view of the head, you have your eyeballs on here, right? You have your nose sticking out. The eyes are coming. They're oval, but they're also coming back. The head is round, and the eyes are round. They're coming back. So it's easy for that part of the eye to be hidden away from the light. But then you come to this part here of the eye, and it comes back around. There's like this indent before it comes down to this bottom lid. And the bottom lid, has like 2 points, boom, 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 like this. And there's this part here. That part usually hits light, and that's why it hits light. It's because it's facing upward more toward the light. I can't go into a whole lesson here explaining all this, but I do explain it in other lessons, and definitely in my head course. But yeah, this inside here, you have a shadow that comes in here, and why is that shadow here inside the eye? That's because this eyelid, this top eyelid here, has a thickness, just like the bottom eyelid does. We can see the bottom eyelid right now. If we're looking up at the eye, we'll actually see that top eyelid, and we'll see that, hey, it has a thickness to it, right? And we'll see like that. So we're looking up at the eye, and now we're not going to see the bottom eye. We're not going to see the thickness of the bottom eye. And the eye is like looking up or something like that. It doesn't really matter. But that's why, is because that eyelid has a thickness to it, and when the light hits it, it casts a shadow because of the thickness of the eyelid. So from the side view, you have the eye like this. This part's coming up. This eyelid has a thickness. This eyelid has a thickness, and they both wrap around that form, right, as it goes back into space. And that's the bottom eyelid as it comes here, and the top eyelid. And then you have that wrinkle part that comes. That's where your top eyelid retracts into, and that's why that line's dark, because that's where your eyelid folds back in there. It folds behind that skin, so that skin is like a wrinkle. When you close your eyes and you open them, when you open them, your eyelid is being retracted into that skin, and that's why you have the shadow right here, because it's forming, when you have your eye open, it's forming that crevice that goes in. It's forming a slight bump. And so the light hits it a little differently. This here all sinks in more because it sinks more into the skull. You have more fatty tissue right here, and that's why that part gets hit with light, because the grid is like this, bam, 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 and it kind of starts straightening out. Then it kind of starts sinking in over here. And so this gets dark, and also it's on a whole angle, like I said, from the top view when you think about it. So this part gets hit with light, and that part doesn't. This part here gets hit with light because you get bounce light from the nose, and also because the way it swoops down and pops back out straight again, more flat. This is going down, then it's kind of going straight again, more flat, so it gets the light there. Then you have the edge of the nose, which starts from over here like this, and it comes down, and that's going to get some shadow due to how it is. I'm not going to get into all of it, but then you have the dark part of the eye here, and this is like sinks inward. If you think about the grid, this all sinks inward, and this is the part of the eye that sinks inward. As people get older, that part gets darker and darker because the tissue, the muscles that stretch between there get weaker and weaker. And I'm not really sure if there's a way to work that out to keep them strong as you get older, but maybe you can kind of squint your eyes and just try to flex that muscle as much as possible, making really weird eye gestures to keep that muscle strong so that it stretches between here good, and that way it doesn't sink in and look darker, because as it sinks in into your skull socket, it gets darker. And because of the fact it's sinking in. Your eyelashes actually come off of this part of the lid here. And so to paint the eyes, you have to paint all that part, which is hard to paint because it's always kind of wet. Anyway, just something to know. And the same thing is true with the top eyelid. If you were to look at the top, from the top view of the eye, and you can see that little bit of thickness of the eyelid, the eyelashes start from the top part, not the bottom part. Like that. Anyway, so all that kind of knowledge is stuff that people don't teach when they're drawing eyelid. Then in here you have like the cheek muscle, and it comes down like that, and so forth. Anyway, it's just kind of irritating seeing a lot of these quick 5-minute videos of someone drawing an eye and just kind of talking while they're drawing it, and they don't ever show you how to do nothing. At least for me, I need to know the whys of things, and the whys of things is what helps you have that knowledge that when you can draw the eye now from a different angle. Once you learn all the knowledge of the eyeball and all the knowledge of the head, like from my head course, for example, you will be able to draw the head at any imaginable angle because you can logically figure it out and go, okay, I know the whys of things. I know why this is that way. Rather than someone just going, all right, so now I'm drawing this dark part, just make sure you shade it in because it's important because, it's shaded, but not telling you the why. So that's why I was doing this whole entire tutorial, is showing the why of the angles of the eyes. Why is it that sometimes the eyes are straight and the nose is straight and the mouth is straight, versus here they're not. They're kind of angled down and angled up and angled straight. Why is it sometimes they're all angled down, sometimes they're all angled up? Why are they on these angles? And taking it back to the primitive box will help you understand the why of that. And the difference between an actual 3/4 view versus a 1-point perspective. So, and I didn't actually draw that. I did show an example of it with a 3D model, but when you draw it, I don't really see the point in drawing it, really, to be honest. But when you do draw it, you're not going to have you can't have an extreme view. You're only going to be able to see a little bit of the side of the head. But when you do draw it, what's going to happen is basically the eye is going to be a little bit like over here, and this eye is going to have a little bit more space before you get to the ear. And you're going to see very, very little okay. Maybe I should at least try to draw something presentable, huh? I'm like purposely trying to make it look ugly. But anyway, so you're not going to have as much of a 3/4 view for the nose. Neither for the mouth. So basically, you will be able to see, that's a huge mouth. Basically, you will be able to see a little bit, like Mick Jagger or something. You're going to be able to see a little bit of the, sorry, I'm drawing and then trying to think at the same time. Give her flat hair. She doesn't have much of bounce to her hair. And I might as well give her some eyebrows. So basically, everything here is on a straight line because that's the front view because it's still, but all this right here comes, back into perspective. If it's below the horizon line or above the horizon line. If it's above, then everything's going to go down. If it's kind of straight, then everything's going to kind of go like this. That's the side plane only is going back in perspective. That's still single point perspective though. And I think that's kind of confusing for a lot of people is that, and that's why I want to kind of cover that. And hopefully now it has helped some of the confusion go away. That's kind of a weird looking person. Kind of looks, I don't know, Egyptian or something. Anyway, so thanks for watching. Hey, again, once again, if you enjoy my tutorials and you're like, hey, I like this guy's style, he teaches stuff, he teaches the hows and whys of stuff and helps me learn things that I can take that knowledge and apply it to so many different things now. And if you like that, and even though my tutorials are longer because they're more instructional rather than just, hey, watch me draw an eyeball and I'm going to just kind of talk a little bit while I do it, then please do me a favor and help other people learn too. The reason why I do this is to help people because I grew up poor and I couldn't really afford much. That's why I offer so much content for free. And, for those that just want to go deeper, I do offer, courses, but offer them at a great, fantastic price. You're not going to find the kind of instructions I have anywhere else on the internet, for the price they are. But I have over 400 free videos. Some of them are 2 hours long, some of them are 30 minutes, some of them are 15 minutes, some of them are 10 minutes, but there's a wealth of information just in my free tutorials alone. Do me a favor, help other people learn this stuff, And all you might be surprised at how many people, if you just simply share it on your Facebook, like click the share button right below this right below the, no, I'm sounding like a salesman now, right? But it's for free. We're just trying to help people learn stuff for free. All you have to do is click on the share button below the video and then click like Facebook and stuff. Here, I mean, are you still watching, for example? So let's say I'm you right now and I'm watching this video, and in this case, I'm watching like the video I did last of how to paint skin and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I want to share this with people. How do I do that? You simply go here to share. You might as well click like while you're there if you like it, right? You click on share, and then you just click on the different things like Facebook, and bam, it'll pop up a Facebook thing, and it'll redirect you to your Facebook page. Type in something like, "Yo, I really like this tutorial. It's really cool. Check it out." Or, "Hey, if you want to learn how to, you really want to learn how to draw 3/4 view, you want to learn the why behind it, then check this video out." Or, "This is an excellent," whatever you think about the video. Or, "I think this is a piece of shit." If that's what you think, share it. Doesn't matter if that's what you think, then that's what you think. If you happen to have a Reddit account, click it and say something. You happen to have a Twitter account, click it and say something. And whatever these accounts, click all of them if you have all of them. If you have the time, that is, and you really feel like doing that. But at least click one of these. The one I'd recommend you click the most is Facebook because, a lot of people have a lot of Facebook or Twitter, one of these two, Google Plus even. Whatever's one you use the most, at least click that one for me. And then just say whatever you think about the video and then share it with your friends. You'd be surprised how many people might see that post in the future that you don't even know them. They're not even a friend. They just happen to come across your page and they see that post and are like, hey, interesting, like a friend of a friend of a friend that happens to come across your Facebook page, and they see that link and they're like, oh, cool, I like drawing, and they check it out and then they're like, oh, wow, this is awesome. I learned so much from this. So anyway, yeah. That's why that's so helpful for you guys to do that. And I know I sound like a salesman and trying to get you to do something, but you don't have to do it. I'm just asking you to do that. If you have found my videos useful, do that because it'll help other people find it and it'll spread the joy, paying it forward. Anyway, thanks for watching.